Hello, Dicks and Ghouls. It's July, so it's time I do the mid-year book freakout tag for 2021. I know that most people in booktube used to do this tag on June, but you know what? I'm waiting for the middle of the year to do that, so it's the first video I did in July. And yes, I was off YouTube for a while for the past 2 weeks because of the heat wave. It was nearly impossible to, film a video. I mean, even now I have my lights off. That's why you may see my face being way too dark. But that's what happens in that case. And in the first half of 2021, I've read 25 books. So my goal of 52 books a year is, I'm on a good clip at the moment. So yeah. Without further ado, let's get into the questions. And I know I have promised some videos on June, but I wasn't able to do them because of the heat and because of having a lot of work happening in my house. So it was nearly impossible to film any videos. I have uploaded some videos I had as buffers, videos I have recorded in the past and was keeping them on the side, for a time when I'll be unable to do YouTube videos, and I guess I'll have to make some new ones for the month of August. But yes, I know I owe you some videos about this book over here, which I'm still rereading, even though I was supposed to finish it a month ago, but I stumbled upon a series I loved and had to finish. And also I owe you a book reread for Eric of Melibone, because I've read the first book and it's coming soon once I'm able to, to start working on my film schedule. And there is not too much heat and not too much noise because, it's still hot. Still very hot in here and the environment is not great for recording at the moment. So let's get to the best book I've read so far in 2021, and it's kind of hard because I've read a great series of books. And I'm talking about Will White's Cradle, so I have to pick only one of them, and I'll pick book 8, Winter Still, which was some sort of a picking for the series, a new high for it, and I really enjoyed it. And I started reading Cradle last August, but I've read book 2 of the series early April, and then I finished all 9 books, so 8 books in the mid of June, so that makes it like 8 books in 2.5 months. That's quite a feat, and I've also read some other books in between, because I seldom binge read series, but it was binge readable, so that means that yes, that means something, right? Question 2. Best sequel you've read so far in 2021? Well, I can easily go for Cradle, but I think I'll go for The House Gates by Stephen Erickson, book 2 in Malazan Book of the Fallen, because it was a reread, because I was pleasantly surprised by how good it felt the second time around, how it had no weak parts. Like I remember being a bit sagging in the middle, but no, it was not. It was actually quite solid, and this time around, knowing more about the world, it flowed much better and everything was there for a reason. So I was very impressed by it. A new release you haven't read yet but want to? That's question 3. And it's not exactly a new release, but I just got a brand new translated version of Horrorstore by Grady Hendrix, who was just published in Greek, and yes, I'm reading that during July, so expect a review for it. As soon as I'm done with the other reviews, I still owe you guys. But yeah, I'm looking forward to read that. And question 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. It's definitely Reaper, book 10 of Cradle by Will White, because it's expected probably inside the second half of 2021. And yes, I want to read what's happening next in the series. I still have no withdrawal symptoms, alright? I'm perfectly fine, I can function without Cradle, unlike many people out there I know who are like, when's the Cradle coming out? When's the next Cradle coming out? I'm not like that, alright? I'm cool about this, okay? So it's Reaper by Will White, and I hope it's out in the second half of the year. Biggest disappointment? That's a tough one because there were some disappointments in my reading. I think I'll go for a classic that I have yet to review because I cannot just have the script work, and it's Our Lady of Darkness by Fritz Leiber. Fritz Leiber was author from one of the greats of fantasy and science fiction, and he is mostly known for his Fafard and Grey Mouser books that are Sword and Sorcery adventures. This one was a horror novel, a Lovecraftian horror novel that was quite good for its era. It was quite interesting, but it just did not work for me. So I was disappointed by it. Well, not a bad book. It was not quite what I expected. It was not quite hitting the marks of what I wanted to read, and actually it's sort of a sequel to a short story he has done that is also considered classic, which I reread while reading this book because I was not remembering the story, and I was not blown away by the story either. But I think that's a me thing. It's not me vibing to his writing, to his horror writing. So yeah, it was a disappointment in the book department. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? I don't think I have read any new authors this year. I've mostly read the books by people I have already read. In the past, Will White, I've read his first book in 2020, so he doesn't count, and I was not impressed back then. So it's kind of hard, you know. I mean, I've read only three new authors this year. No, two, because yeah, I think I'll have to go for Chester Himes and his Cotton in Harlem book. Chester Himes was an African-American author. He was writing crime, and yeah, it's the closest I can get. But you know, it's not like a favorite author. I think I'll look for his very first novel. But that's all. Newest fictional crush. I don't get fictional crushes. No. Favorite character. There were a lot of characters I liked in Cradle. But I think I'll go for Aidan from Cradle because he's a recurring character since book 2, and I think he made this book for me. His appearance actually made this book tick for me, and he's sort of like the character I would play in a role-playing game, or the character I'll root for in anime, the smart, all-knowing guy who is flamboyant, yes, yet he's working from behind the scenes at the same time. Yeah, that's totally new favorite, and I'm still certain that he's going to turn out to be the main antagonist of the series. No way, or you know, he'll have a heel turn towards the end, but I'm waiting for that. But then again, he's also the favorite character of the author, so he may not. I'm not quite sure, but Cradle was full of great new characters for me, and it's hard to pick only one. A book that made you cry? That's a tough one. Naomi's Room by Jonathan Aycliffe really got me at some point. I don't cry, but it was very intense. For some part, it fell apart towards the end, unfortunately, but it was a great horror story about the very real horror of losing a loved one and a child at that, and I could feel a grip around my gut as I was reading that. And there is also a good tie with The House Gates because of how it ends, and I knew how it ended at this time, and it was even more gut-wrenching just knowing how it ends towards getting there. So yeah, that's a tie. Naum's Room and The House Gates, a book that made you happy. Cradle. All the Cradle books made me happy. Especially Uncrowned and Winterstill, books 7 and 8, because that was the point that it made me feel very, very good to see those characters progress, and get respect, and get what they want. And it felt amazingly well. So yeah, Winterstill and Uncrowned by Will White are books that made me happy. The most beautiful you've bought or received this year? What's a tough one? I haven't bought a lot of books this year, so it's kind of tough to pick just one. But I guess I'll go for Fall of Light by Steven Erikson, book 2 of the Carcanos trilogy, the prequels to Malazan Book of the Fallen, because this cover looks really epic and makes me want to read it eventually. I think I'll read those 2 books after I finish the Malazan reread in in early 2022, I guess, or early 2023, or most probably. And finally, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, I have said that I'll reread House of Chains and Midnight Tides by Steven Erikson. I'll reread the original 5 Elric books by Michael Moorcock. And I don't know what else, really, I don't know, but that's all. So that was my mid-year book freakout tag. Hope you like this one, yeah, see you soon, bye bye.